buddy.
You're not my buddy, buddy. Coming up on First Course First, 1989 is the last year the mainstream thought it was winning. Motley Crue went to number 1. Aerosmith had their huge comeback. Alice Cooper was somehow fucking everywhere. They were all already dead and they just didn't know it yet. That's next. Hi, Evil.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm
With
confused.
me is Evil, same old situation, Jimmy. Evil, 1989, am I right?
Holy banana pancakes.
I don't know what that means, but I completely agree with you. Holy
Dude.
banana pancakes. Yes.
I've been
I'm gonna
saying
get this out of the way, and then I have some things that I want to hear from you. But I don't know if it worked or not. You do this to me a lot in the pod. I've been kind of red herringing you for the last week or two about what's going to happen in this episode and how bad the music is. I need everybody to understand the dynamic here. Evil, what were you, 13, 14 in 89?
it was the year spring, 7th grade, fall, 8th grade. So
Okay.
I turned 13 that September, I think. Yeah, that's right.
So you had opinions. You were a person that had,
Dude.
you were probably buying tapes at that point with your own money and stuff, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, I have a lot to say about it.
Well, I was 7. I had no agency. I was absorbing everything on MTV and on my dad's radio.
Yeah.
You were a consumer. I was a bystander. And so we're
God.
dissecting this from very different vantage points.
Holy moly.
But I'm going to say this. My list is going to not look impressive to the listeners, and it is to Evil. What I love about 1989 includes some things that a 7-year-old has never let go of. So my top 5 is going to look a lot like a Tower Records 1991 clearance bin, basically.
I love it.
Yeah. I don't think our loves are going to be too far off on this one. I think surprisingly somehow we were kind of swimming in the same pool.
Fair.
So you tell me about you in 1989.
So I can't talk about 89 without bringing up 94 because they are two very distinct and pivotal time frames for me developmentally, as just age wise, and also musically in terms of my interests of those two specific times. And the story of where music went from 1989 to 1994 is pretty interesting as well. So,
okay,
I
love it.
We did a whole year on 94. We love 94, greatest year in music ever. We'll fight people who disagree with that. Go look at the albums that were released. It's clear that the evidence is there. Very different feel in the music industry in 1994 compared to 1989.
Yeah.
1989, well, back to 94. I'm graduating high school, going to college. So that's a pretty big event in terms of coming of age developmentally. I had kind of formed my own musical taste. I was starting to get into heavier music. I mean, 94 is the year that Pantera had a Billboard chart topping album, the heaviest album ever at number 1. The other big albums, Corrosion of Conformity, Prong. I could go on and on about the heavy stuff, but also all of the alternative. It was the peak of that era of the grunge era music, which I lived through and experienced. Rewind to 89. This is another peak year for a completely different type of music.
Yes. Yeah.
And developmentally, this is like one of the most awkward periods of time for me as a human being.
It kind of seems like for the world.
Yeah. So like when you're that age, when you're an adolescent and you're the hormones and puberty and you're trying to be cool, like what is cool and what's your identity and how do you fit in and
yeah.
culturally, and then the fucking rug gets pulled out from underneath you culturally in the next couple of years. It's a weird transition, turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all the, I mean, you're talking about, and we'll get to this, but you're talking about bands that were on, like, nobody has ever been as cool. Nobody had ever been as amazing. And then 3 years later, they were the least cool people in the fucking world. Like, everybody suddenly hated them. I mean, I get the, the glutton and the access and blah, 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 but there was no reason to just be like, oh yeah, fuck all these guys.
Well, like, and it's weird when musicians who have had a creative peak era are trying to stay relevant. And I tried to find like, okay, who from 1969 sort of had a similar trajectory, and it's Jefferson Airplane.
Oh, totally.
When they're like Starship writing "We Built This City" and doing soundtracks for fucking Mannequin. Like, how awkward is that for them?
14% of the original band. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that the artists and bands, not all of them, but many of them that were peaking at this time frame kind of went into a similar era, and bygones, man.
As you can hear, we have a shit ton to talk. Like, there are years where there's so much to talk about just because of the music, like 94 and stuff like that. There's 69. There's so much history around, but there's just so much to fucking cover in this year that was happening that was different. So we're excited. We're going to talk about it. First, we got to get to the most important part of the night. What are we drinking? I'm going to go first because I am boring. I am still... So here's the thing.
You weren't boring last night.
Exactly. Yes. That's the problem. So I've been super, super good. Really, really healthy. Eating incredibly well. Keeping up with the routines. All that stuff. My sleep is shit, but we'll work on that. Here's the problem, Evil, and I think it's what happened to you in New Orleans, but it's even worse because your body is super used to it. When I cheat meal, my body, I feel so fucking beaten down and hungover, and like your
desecrated your temple.
Your body is no longer predisposed to like. No, dude, you don't get it. You can't do that anymore.
You don't do this anymore.
That's fucking rough. I kind of hate that.
Yeah.
So I am drinking a vodka and soda, and
there you go.
Safe. It's safe, but I'm doing well. I'm being really consistent, which is not common for me. Like I didn't, like this week I didn't lose any weight at all, but I didn't freak out. I mean, like, oh fuck, I need to up my workouts or I need to do this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, just kept going. I think I'm actually old enough to where I can slow and steady it now, and I don't really care. So I'm feeling good. Evil, you are much more exciting. I have seen a picture. I don't want to spoil it. What are you drinking?
I was just gonna pour a whiskey, and Scotch sounded good. I don't know why. Breakfast Scotch.
Hey,
I mean it's still morning here. But I'm like, that's boring, and I had said that I'm going to try to do more cocktails for episodes. And so I'm like, okay, what can I do with Scotch? And so I'm like, fuck, I picked Ardbeg 10 because I was craving it. I've been craving it.
Calm down. Jeez Louise.
And so I grabbed my bottle of Drambuie and made a Ardbeg 10 Rusty Nail. And it's delicious. Simple.
What's it taste like?
It tastes wonderful. It's like a sweet campfire.
There you go. That's perfect. Yeah, I wanted to do like a Fuzzy Navel or something that was very late 80s, but I'm like, I'm not, that's not worth a cheat meal. Drink something super fucking gross for content. Not worth it. Sorry, guys.
I considered getting a bottle of like Mad Dog or Boone Farm crappy wine because that's the kind of stuff I was sneaking at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, let's get into 1989 with his manly drink and my drink. Here, I mean, I really want to focus on the differences in where we were at.
Mm-hmm.
You had kind of at this time, how do you feel like you had cultivated your own taste? I know you had an older brother who like played a part in it.
Not even close. No.
Gotcha.
I mean, and yet there's stuff from this era that I still love today. Absolutely. It's comfort food. So but most of that was inherited from my older brother. Because
Gotcha.
he graduated in 1987. I mean, he lived through peak of like AC/DC, like early Van Halen.
Yeah.
You know, Judas Priest, Iron Man, all that stuff. So like he was big into hair metal, and so was I, turns out. But also,
I was. But here's the thing: because I was listening to like, we're just gonna get it out of the way now. I mean, I was listening to fucking Vanilla Ice, UB40. Like I was,
yes.
I don't know if I have a feeling. I don't know if you were on that too, or if you were purely Skid Row at this point. Like,
no,
were you listening
not
to
at all. I'm
too?
like Casey Kasem, top 40. Like this is, you gotta remember, this is the era where if you wanted music, if you didn't have money to go buy it, you're sitting with like a boom box and a blank tape waiting for it to play on the top 40 so you can record it. And so,
yes.
Yeah. And because of that, you're listening to all of the pop music. So I was very into kind of the bubblegum hip hop stuff that was exploding right then.
Awesome.
And all of the hits. Yeah. All like Casey, like I listened to Casey Kasem every week. Yeah.
That's awesome. We got to, we're kind of spoiling it for each other. We've already given a little bit away, but we got to do the friendship test. We got to guess each other's favorite album of 1989. I think you were of an age where you did have your own opinions. You also had an older brother who was kind of maybe, showing you some stuff. I think the perfect avenue there, I think it was probably on the pop stuff. It was definitely on MTV every 2 minutes. I'm going Dr. Feelgood, Bob Rock, Mick Mars. This feels
monster album.
It is a monster album. That is my pick for you, is Dr. Feelgood. What about you?
Well, now I'm second guessing. I had two picked out for you. And now that I know that you're rope-a-doping me, I think both of them are probably wrong.
I will say the albums you are supposed to like from 1989, I do fucking love. I do love you should like these albums. I love them.
I'm going to go with a sleeper here because I have thoughts on this album too. Good ones. And I'm going to go with, I'm going to say Full Moon Fever, Tom Petty.
Oh, I mean,
that's wrong.
It's okay. That album's okay. I actually we'll talk about that. We are going to talk about that album. So it's definitely on a list. Mm-hmm. That's for damn sure.
Do you want to know what my two picks were?
Yes, I do.
Since I've negated them as actual picks.
Yes.
I was waffling between Disintegration and Doolittle. Those were the two that I'm like, it's got to be one of those.
I mean, I'm going to talk about those. So yes. I think you might be right on one of those. We'll say that. I mean, the then versus now stuff is super interesting because, I mean, like, you ask me now, I'm a huge fan of the stuff that, like, Love and Rockets. I fucking love Love and Rockets, like Bauhaus adjacent stuff that was massive in 89. But the honest version of me is, it's fucking trash by Alice Cooper. Like, I'm not going to be shamed. I'm totally fine with that. How did you study for this?
Well, so I just kind of glanced at 89, like what are some of the albums, and I see stuff that I'm just like, I just put on like some of my favorites. I'm like, this is gonna be.
Mhm.
I can just coast through this. And so, you know, I queue up all of the guilty pleasures for the most part, and then
Good for you.
like this week, I'm like, all right, I gotta get a little bit more serious, and I start digging in. I'm just like, oh fuck me, I gotta get out my pickaxe because we got some mining to do here, and it was infinitely more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And so coasting, that didn't last for too awful long.
I don't know if you're going to touch on it, but what's the most embarrassing band or song from this era that you liked? Like, were you an LA Guns guy?
No, but do you know what I absolutely loved? And it's still, I'm like, this stuff is fun. And there's tons to talk about here. I fucking loved Milli Vanilli. Loved it.
Did you really?
Dude, yes.
Were you
my
watching
buddy Renee?
the,
you know
the
Renee.
SNL? Yeah.
Yeah. We would do the dance moves at the junior high dances. Like, no joke.
Were you watching SNL when it happened?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Man. First SNL, this is apropos, first SNL that I ever watched, my dad was like, okay, you're going to stay up and you're going to watch this with me. First SNL I ever watched was February 17th, 1990. It was hosted by Tom Hanks with Aerosmith as the guest. And Wayne's World had Aerosmith on Wayne's World as a guest.
Yes.
I was like, you're never, like, art is never going to be better than this. This is the perfect. And then, of course, after SNL gets over, fucking American Gladiators comes on. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was like the most revolutionary night of my life.
Greatest thing ever. Dude.
But yeah, I was hooked. I was hooked ever, like, right away when I saw that. And I'll say this too, fucking Pump for me holds up completely. I love that album. I think it's by far Aerosmith's best album. I do.
It's great.
I like that like Permanent Vacation Pump.
Yeah.
Aerosmith. I like the old stuff. Of course I like the old stuff, but there's something about this where they
had a little bit of a renaissance in like the mid late 80s.
Yeah, before like
the Alicia Silverstone era stuff.
Before the Crying Amaze is Super Crazy. My God. But look, they tapped into this really cool kind of, they did sound 80s.
Yeah.
But they also sounded like Perry and Tyler sounded so fucking bluesy. Yes. Even through like the cheesy 80s. His guitar and that like cigarette loud fucking massive mouth voice that Steven Tyler has.
The music sounds 80s, but the production stands up.
Very much
there
so.
are other 80s albums that sound very dated due to the production, but the production on those albums that you're talking about actually aged fairly well, even if musically it's kind of stuck in the time.
Well, and it gets a fucking bad name. It gets joked on and ripped on all the time and stuff, but the production in fucking hair metal is amazing.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
You can...
Yeah, not all of it, but yes.
Can you say it's overproduced? Sure.
Of course. It's very slick, polished. It's LA, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's kind of you go listen to the riffs and stuff on Dr. Feelgood or tell me that doesn't fucking rock.
Those bands, the good ones are criminally underrated as musicians because of the kind of music that they were writing, the tongue in cheek.
All those dudes shredded. They all shredded.
Yes. Yeah. And not just guitar, drumming, bass playing, the vocals, incredible musicians at the highest level. Like, the copies of the copies, not so much. Like, there's some absolute garbage.
Very true. Very, very true.
But you can say that about any era, grunge, new metal, whatever. Like, today, it's like anyone with a fucking laptop can put out an album, so...
Which kind of, that flies in there was other stuff going on that was the opposite of that. We'll talk about that sort of stuff. Like the $600 album standing over my right shoulder here. And let's see, the other one, I was like trying to sneakily plug in albums that I didn't have a place for in the list and stuff.
Yeah, same.
And one of the ones was Mother's Milk by Chili Peppers.
Yes.
I love that album.
I do too.
And Frusciante he's already doing special shit, but the best stuff on that is like the not there shit. Like the best stuff on Mother's Milk is like Higher Ground. And
Higher Ground is fucking great.
Yes.
For
they were
Mother's
about
Milk,
to be...
huge fan, but I didn't find it until after Blood Sugar Sex Magic dropped. So I wasn't, I had not even on my radar in 89, but later, yeah, I love that album.
They were a great band that was going to become like really, really fucking great.
Yes.
Let's see. Guess who came out with an album this year, Evil? And now it's time for DL to shit on the Stones. Seriously, I guess they just came out with an album every year, right?
Yeah.
Steel Wheels by Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is the most predisposed I am to hate an album from that year. And look, Rolling Stones after 81, like, please defend them to me. But anybody, please. I don't know, though. Steel's Wheel is not that bad. I put it on to like,
oh, you did. I didn't even
prepared to like shit on it and move it on. It's fine. It's actually fine. What are the songs like Rock in a Hard Place and Mix to Disappear? They're competent Rolling Stones songs, and the production is good.
Of course it is. They're billionaires at this point. I mean, come on.
Yes. That's kind of it's a very backhanded compliment, but I see Steel Wheels as like, it's like a student that's been getting D's for 12 years and he pulls off a B and the parents are so fucking happy. Like, oh my God, you got a B. That's kind of Steel Wheel for that. So
let's go out for Sundays.
Yes. So sorry, Rolling Stone fans, you're still not getting too much from us. Let's rewind to even like when we talked about Beck Ola, but also we recently talked about Rory Gallagher. God, what would that band have been with Ronnie Wood on bass and Rory Gallagher playing like leads alongside? If Mick would have just showed up. Wait, was it Mick? No, it wasn't Mick. It was Keith.
He was fucking passed out. Seriously, that could have been the greatest band of all time.
It could have. I don't know. I'm glad that Rory didn't do it.
Me too.
Good job, Rory. Okay. So, thesis of the album. Sorry. Thesis of the year. And then we'll get into, actually, maybe I should touch on what was happening. I think the only thing that I'm really...
a few things.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like for me, the best metaphor for the year is the Berlin Wall. Like November 9th, 1989, Berlin Wall comes down. We thought we'd won. End of history. Good guys win. Smooth sailing. David Hasselhoff singing for us. Hooray. And then Vanilla Ice happens and, winger ballads. And then Pretty Hate Machine comes out 1 month before the wall came down. I don't know. There's something very sneaky, prescient thank you. That is the correct word. There's something about Pretty Hate Machine coming out that's like Trent sitting there mopping in his music studio going, no, guys, I know what's fucking going to happen here.
Yeah. Well, and not just, here's the interesting dichotomy of like international relations, like end of the Cold War, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Berlin Wall comes down. This is like the Soviet bloc starts crumbling. This is also the same year of Tiananmen Square. So it's like the handoff from the USSR to the CCP as like the global opposition to, the Western world.
Yeah. It just, look, and it's just like fucking music. I mean, Feel Good was at number 1. Like Pump was huge.
Yep.
In the background, you've got fucking Bleach coming out. You got 9 Inch Nails coming out. You got Doolittle in April's. You got the Stone Roses in May. Nobody fucking noticed any of those. Nobody did. 2 years later, all those, everything from 89 is all the number ones and all the peaks. Those bands are basically dead in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know. That's just fucking crazy to me.
It
Doolittle,
is wild.
Bleach, Pretty Hate Machine, all being that year are so fucking prescient, as my friend would say, the weapon that was about to destroy hair metal. Like it was
Dude.
invented in 1989. It just hadn't
Yeah.
been fired yet, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention like Faith No More. We talked about it. You know,
God,
like that.
yeah.
That's another glimpse
Album that
of
came out
what's
this year.
what's to come.
Yeah. So what you must have a really interesting, actually, you probably have a much more, you're probably much more open-minded than most because you fucking loved all the hair metal and you also fucking
100%.
loved all of the things that killed hair metal. Like,
Yeah, it's weird.
you loved Nirvana, you loved Soundgarden, you loved
Yeah.
all that shit. So has it ever been weird kind of navigating that?
So I have recently really been diving into like Jungian psychology and the integration of the shadow self.
So we're keeping it light.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. This is like this whole fucking year and episodes on brand because it's like a bunch of like weird childhood stuff merging and fighting with then the transition into adolescence and adulthood. I mean, I'm like exhausted for so many reasons emotionally, not just because of this other life stuff, but it's all really positive. Like here's the thing is it's all, I feel like good stuff is ahead because of it, but
I know exactly what you're saying. I do.
It is like diving into 89 and then realizing the connection with 94 and how important both of those years are for me culturally, you know, developmentally, musically, artistically. It's it is a lot to process. It's a lot because I'm like I've got a foot on either side of a chasm in terms of like culture in my DNA, in my like human development. It's weird. Yes. And I love both.
It makes you one of the more, I don't like boring people. So that's why, like, it makes you one of the more interesting people because one day you will send something that could not be more inclusive, could not be more like in a very, very witty way of essentially saying like, we have to figure out a way for everybody to just get fixed.
Yeah.
And then the next day you'll send, that man dude needs to listen to some fucking Pantera or something, like whatever you said today.
Well, both can be true, right? That's the awkward thing about today.
What's the line that in the, did you ever watch the, I can't remember any of their names now. That's really fun. The movie about the, who's the fucking guy that invented the iPhone?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Did you ever see the movie with Fassbender with Steve Jobs?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, and not Jonah Hill. Who's the other one? Jesus, Joe Rogan. No, fuck, David.
Probably not Joe Rogan. Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen.
I mean, I can see how you can mistake one for the other.
They're identical.
They're virtually identical.
But
it's the same.
He does
picture.
a great job of playing Wozniak, and there's just this great line where they're yelling back and forth about how Wozniak is saying, "You need to acknowledge the people that fucking built this. You didn't build it." And Jobs is kind of saying like, "Do you want success or do you want this?" And it ends with Wozniak being like, you can be successul and not a dick. Like the two aren't mutually exclusive.
So,
and it's such a good fucking line.
Okay. I don't know how deep do you want to go here? Like
from what I've learned, I think the listeners like it when we go deep. VCV After Dark.
The peeling the onion on 1989 and finding like the connection for me personally with 94 and then like diving into the like global sort of milieu of what's happening. And I'm like, okay, this is like the end of like communism failed.
Yeah.
And the Berlin Wall fell. And like,
Yep.
spoiler alert, communism's always going to fail because in theory, it's a fucking great idea, but it does not account for
Humans.
like human motivation. Look at
Hooray!
that. On the other side of things, like pure crony capitalism always going to fail because it doesn't account for human motivations, are a stark reminder of like whether you're hard left, hard right politically, you need
Yes.
to turn around and look at the other person on the other side, because to make things work, everybody has to work together.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. No, I mean, can't we all just get along?
No, we can't. And that's the trick, is we can't all the time, but we have to kind of figure out how to some of the time.
I like it. That's good. Evil, let's do a little aged well versus, a then versus now kind of thing. I'll start with the fact that and you guessed this for me. It took me I was not a Tom Petty guy until I was probably late 20s.
Seriously? Really?
And then I was not a real Tom Petty guy until probably 7-8 years ago. I've never not liked Tom Petty, but it's always just kind of been like it's Tom Petty, I'm a bad boy because I don't even miss her sort of thing. And then you get older and it's kind of like the Neil Young thing. And then I get older, I'm like, oh yeah, this shit is fucking brilliant. That's the Tom Petty thing for me. You might be right, because I went from like, yeah, it's Tom Petty to it's Tom fucking Petty. Like, there are songs that he wrote that, my God.
Full Moon Fever is the most timeless album from everything that I like studied, consumed, intook for studying for this. It is he's a mensch musically.
Well,
it's the most timeless album for him.
It is, and it's not my favorite of his, but it is.
No.
I agree with that. And even just the songs like Free Fallin' and I Won't Back Down, it's hard in years like this to find songs that are, how do you put it, should be well respected and also massive. And he had that fucking knack. He had the thing.
Yes.
I don't know what it was, but everybody likes Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you heard somebody like, fuck Tom Petty? That music sucks. I don't think that really.
Running Down a Dream. Come on. Like,
boo. Who wants that?
I'm sure there's somebody out there who has some weird association with Tom Petty who hates him for reasons that they need to do some inner work on.
Personal digging.
Most people are going to listen to Tom Petty and be like, the fuck, this is objectively really good music.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yes.
I also, something else that isn't in my list, so I was just trying to find places for it, is Fugazi. So 13 Songs comes out in 89. I'm putting it here because I need it in the episode. And it's fucking Fugazi. Any Fugazi should typically be in like my top 5 albums of the year. It's not, though, because I had to put Trash in it. So, sorry, Fugazi.
I think maybe the album that aged the best from this year is Paul's Boutique. That's an album that it was a slow burn. It kind of flopped commercially, but artistically,
nobody knew what the fuck it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they went through, this was like a chrysalis phase for them. Like they went from being this weird one-trick pony party band, sort of one-hit wonder thing,
Fight for Your
to
Right to
what
Party.
they were going to evolve into.
Yes. Yeah. No, fucking Paul's Boutique is it's a weird one. Paul's Boutique is a weird one. How do you listen
album
to
that I like it as an album. I don't really, none of the songs on it are what I would want to listen to if I'm going to listen to the Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Well, so just like you said, when it came out, it totally flopped.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted, what was License to Ill. Everybody wanted part 3 or whatever.
Right.
Not fucking
Not
Dust
that.
Brothers like laying samples of combinations that
You
I
do you know what
kind of
sucks?
What's that?
What absolutely sucks is there is no patience today for bands to be able to do what they did with this album.
My take on it is very similar, which is I think that failure protected this album.
Yes.
I think that if it had been a hit, it would have been consumed by like that same fucking hair metal thing, and it would have been seen as this like novelty. They just stole samples from everybody and put out a fucking album.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Paul's Boutique. We'll get there. I don't remember it. I think it was in our top 10 at some point. I don't remember if it's still in there. I feel like we bumped it.
I mean, for these episodes, we kind of like throw albums at each other, and it was in the mix for sure. But other stuff, twas in the mix.
What else do you have any more like then and nows or what you caught late sort of thing?
I mean, in terms of like aged well, like Doolittle aged incredibly well.
It's all right.
Pretty Hate Machine aged incredibly well.
It's okay.
Here are two that are kind of maybe one eyebrow raised picks, but it's the Chris Isaak album and the Garth Brooks album because they didn't do well.
Garth Brooks had an album in '89?
Yes.
What is it?
Garth Brooks.
Oh, whoops. Shows how much I like
slow burn for both of them. It took it took like David Lynch to push Chris Isaak, but then Wicked Game became
fucking like Wicked Game was
enormous a year or two later.
And it was amazing too.
Yeah.
Like that song is fucking, and yeah, the guy like, he kind of killed his own reputation when do you remember when it was like the MTV music videos and he like tried to make out with Cameron Diaz on stage and she's like,
don't do that.
Pushing him away.
Can you imagine doing that today?
Oh my God. Well, what's awesome is in that same one, he was then on the stage with Jim Carrey and Jim Carrey like grabbed him and started making out with him. I fucking love Jim Carrey so much. He's so awesome. But God, that song was rad. I was like 8 years old and I was like, fuck yeah, not having no idea what any of it was about.
Right. Yeah. The Garth Brooks albums, it was huge, but not in 1989. It took a little while for it to set fire. So it aged. It sold 10 million
Would
copies,
you say that it was standing outside the fire? Have you seen that music video?
Yes.
Not going to go there.
He knows where the bodies are buried.
God damn it, I was going to ask you that. But evil, where are the bodies buried? That's my question. The other one that grew that I wasn't a fan of until I got a little bit older, which I think really speaks to how good these bands are, is The Cure. Pornography is my favorite Cure album, like no question. I don't know, it's amazing early 90s beautifulness, but Disintegration is like a close second for me as far as The Cure. Robert Smith, like I think they were about to break up. And then he just makes like this massive, I don't know if he thought it was going to be like an end all be all album or if he was like, look, I'm going to try as hard as I can to keep this band together by making something that is massive, which shot to number one. And, you know, I don't know if you start that album and if it doesn't hit you in the first like 30 seconds, then I don't think you have a soul. But I wasn't, you know, it took me a long time to get into them. You don't listen to them as a kid. It's the same as like Love and Rockets for me.
Yeah.
That stuff.
You need to be jaded. You need to go through some shit.
You do. You absolutely do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't even think I knew Love and Rockets existed back then.
I had a little bit at the time, but not enough to be like interested.
What is your point of view on the 10,000 Maniacs? Do you have one?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Natalie Merchant is an amazing voice. I don't like her solo stuff.
Yeah.
Blind Man's Zoo, right? It was Blind Man's Zoo. Yeah, that came out in 89. I'm okay. Natalie's great on it, but that is not my favorite 10,000 Maniacs album. But I do have a soft spot for 10,000 Maniacs. I think It's
They're
one of
just
those.
they've never been in my wheelhouse, whether it was 89 me or post 94 me.
Yeah, I don't picture you
Yeah.
banging 10,000 Maniacs Unplugged, really. I don't picture
Not-
you really. That's all right. That's okay. You got anything else?
Are we talking about then versus now?
I think I accidentally just like blended them, like a then versus now plus a what you were listening to then versus now, like what has aged well, what has aged poorly.
Well, I mean,
Well, yeah, we can go to like let's just do all of it. Let's do all of it.
let's do
Here-
all of it.
Were you
Because
listening to
I've got a T-shirt that like really illustrates the then versus now for me in
testify?
a huge way. Like,
Testify for testament.
like then it was like I said, it was Casey Kasem top 40. Like I was listening to the Bust a Move and the Funky Cold Medina and you know the fucking Batman soundtrack and all of the pop stuff was completely on my radar.
Good.
None of the shit I listen to today. Like I went and saw Testament and Overkill, who both released albums in '89. I saw them a couple of weeks ago, and that's the shit that I listen to now. So
they
there's
old?
a huge difference. In,
So you and I kind of reversed a little bit.
maybe
Like now I got sucked into the what you're supposed to listen to, and you kind of stayed. You kept your He-Man figurines, and we're like, no, fuck
You're
everybody.
goddamn right.
How you do it? How excited are you for the He-Man movie?
oh, it looks fun. It looks like they didn't fuck it up, is what it looks like. Which is
I hope
the
not.
absolute best case scenario is just not fucking it up.
Do you want me to ruin your day? You
Yes.
said the same thing about the last Superman movie when the previews came out.
I watched it. They fucked it up. God damn
That
it.
was so bad. It was so
not
bad.
good. Yeah.
No. The other one I want to touch on that is not going to be on my list, and I don't think it's on anybody's list. I don't think it's anywhere near Evil's list. Is Mosquitoes by Stan fucking Ridgway. I love
First time hearing about it.
I love this album. It's one of my favorite Stan Ridgway's albums. I know, like most people, just know him for like what was it, Wall of Voodoo, Mexican radio, and that kind of stuff. I'm on
Deer in the
a
headlights over
Mexican
here.
radio. You don't know that song? My God, go listen to that. It's fucking amazing. It is like as white, he's singer-songwriter cheesy as you can possibly get, and it's fucking beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like all that. I loved all that stuff. All that Bruce Cockburn kind of he's super, super overly produced, cheesy, twangy guitar. It's just beautiful stuff. Evil, question for you. Was Soundgarden at all on your radar?
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Me neither.
It wasn't until Bad Motorfinger was in the Columbia House BMG flyers until I knew anything about, and that was years later.
Yeah.
Before I knew anything about Soundgarden.
Yeah. So Louder Than Love came out. I'm guessing that it's not on any of my lists. I'm not sure it's on Evil's, but it's still,
I love it, but it's
yeah.
They're
It's still
still
Soundgarden
figuring
doing their thing.
a lot of shit out.
Exactly. Yeah. But Kim Tail is still like fucking using insane tuning.
Right.
And
it's not uninteresting. It's just not, I mean, we're comparing Soundgarden against Soundgarden here.
Soundgarden.
And when you have Bad Motorfinger, fucking Super Unknown, and Down on the Upside in store, then,
Yeah, it's very true. Let's see. How about, what was the other one I was going to ask you about? Oh, Skid Row. Where were you at with Skid Row at the time in '89?
Skid Row opened for Bon Jovi at what was then the BSU Pavilion. I don't even know what is Taco Bell Arena. I don't know what it's called now.
Shit. Yeah.
First concert. Now, I'm going to preface this. Like my absolute first concert was ZZ Top, and I think Night Ranger, like a few years before, with my whole family. But my first concert with my brother, who was like incredibly influential in terms of like music and stuff, was Skid Row opened for Bon Jovi in probably 1989, maybe 90, but I think 89. And that was the shit. Huge Skid Row fan, especially that first album.
I mean, I can't imagine seeing Sebastian Bach live.
Dude.
Holy fuck.
In that era? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
His
think
range, his voice is so underrated.
here's my take on that. I think that's the last great hair metal, for sure the last great hair metal debut, maybe the last great hair metal release before the fall.
I think if you go back to a lot of that hair metal stuff, I can see where people, even if I like a lot of it, I can see where it didn't age well. I don't think Skid Row is in that at all. I think that if you go back, if you're a music fan, you go back and you listen to Skid Row, that shit is awesome.
Yeah.
And
Go and check their second album out. It's fantastic.
Which one is that?
Slave to the Grind.
Do it, everybody. Okay, the last one I want to ask you about specifically. So, 1989, Stevie Ray Vaughan gets sober, and he makes what I think a lot of people call the best album of his career.
His best studio album.
Grammys, and then it's gone, and he's gone. And that album kind of like that proved he figured everything out. How fucking I don't know, man. I didn't realize I just got really sad. What are your thoughts on In Step by Stevie Ray Vaughan?
It's on a list. Let's just say that.
Okay. We'll leave it at that for now. God damn it. Fucking Stevie. And then my aged poorlies were really just, I was going to touch on Milli Vanilli. You already touched on that.
It's on my aged poorly too, of course.
Okay.
So, I mean, come on. What album has aged more poorly than that album?
Well, and the story is so fucking sad. Because
it is
they
incredibly
just
sad.
Like, that is a genuinely, like, they were hired to be faces, exploited for it.
Yes.
And then they fucking paid for it for the rest of their lives. Like, they were the poster child for anything bad, anything unreal in music. And it's fucking depressing, dude.
It's so bad that like there was a similar like lip syncing scandal with Technotronic. No one even pays attention to that because of Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
And like, Pump Up the Jam. That was other stuff like top 40, huge at the time, didn't age well.
Everybody was doing that sort of shit. And by the way, I mean, do you know how hard it is to go to a concert nowadays and not have a backtrack? Like,
of course,
95% of bands that you go to see are going to have like a backing track.
Something's piped in.
Even... Yeah.
It's just part of the industry at this point.
Our poor friends, Milli Vanilli, Evil, those poor motherfuckers.
That, I'm telling you, that music is fucking fun. It is. It is enjoyable, fun music, even though who you're watching on the music video had nothing to do with it.
Yep, I agree. Do you have any bands that you would consider 1989 being the height of their power?
Yes.
And is the answer an entire genre?
Well, one of my answers is I have a couple of answers actually. Yeah, for hair metal, it is the peak. They have no idea what's coming at them.
No.
None. Which makes it even more like kind of endearing.
Who is it? Vince? Who is it? There's that that super famous interview of one of the guys, one of the hair metal guys that's like, yeah, I listened to Nirvana. I don't get it. Like, they sound so upset. Don't you guys just want to fucking party, man? Like, what? Why do people like this?
That sounds more like Bret Michaels, but I think that could be Vince Neil.
It was definitely one of those two. It definitely was. But it's such a brutal fucking, like, in retrospect interview to watch. It's like, dude, you have no idea.
So I have two more answers. Hair metals, obviously. I think artistically for Madonna, this was kind of her peak artistically. Like a Prayer, all of the controversy, her relevance. Sorry, Madonna fans, but I think this was height of power for her.
Absolutely the right answer. That is, she was. What was the movie that she came out with that was fucking like everywhere? Was it like Truth or Dare or something like that?
She just got weird after this, like with the BDSM, and it like. But that's the thing, is when you are an ultra popular celebrity at the absolute peak, where do you go from there?
Yeah. Well, especially an like pop artist.
Yes.
You know, like my whole thing is I have to be the most interesting person on earth in order to stay
Where do you go
relevant.
from like offending the entire Catholic religion?
Yeah.
You got to go harder into the paint, and that's on the other side of the peak. Sorry,
That's
it
what
just
she
is.
did. Yes.
Yeah,
But no,
right?
that is like
But
a
my real
prayer, all that
answer-
stuff. That's the right answer. But what is
My
your
real
answer?
answer is Motley Crue. Dr. Feelgood was their peak for sure.
It totally was. And it was massive. It was so
Huge.
massive.
Huge.
And there was no better metaphor for the music at the time either. Like, not at all. Fucking Tommy Lee naked upside down playing drums in the concerts.
Dude.
And I mean, my God.
The
It's
most
not quite
decadent- ugh.
David Lee Roth assless chaps, but it's pretty damn close.
Have you seen like David Lee Roth? I did not predict the bromance between Teddy Swims and David Lee Roth that is happening right now.
What?
So at Coachella, Teddy Swims is doing a set. He plays Jump, and fucking DLR comes out on stage with them, and they do this rendition of Jump. And
Wow.
Roth is like strutting around, spinning his microphone stand like martial arts style of stuff.
Yeah.
It is, and it's actually like DLR. Let's be serious. This era of DLR is questionable at best.
It's sad.
This is kind of endearing to me. And
Yeah.
he had his interview. He's kind of introspective about it. He's like Teddy Swims, there's been no better name than that. You know, he's like giving props to the new artist and stuff. And I'm like, good for DLR is like, I think he senses that the end is near, and
He's trying to bow kind of gracefully a little bit.
which is a hard thing to do for a deal.
Well, and yeah, and in his concerts lately, it is not. It's hard to watch. It's hard to fucking watch. All
fucking
those guys
painful.
are really hard to watch. It really
Painful
is.
to watch.
What are a couple other ones? Was there anything that was all over the place for this? That while you were researching, like a best album that just was never even on your radar, or it wasn't?
Not that it was not on my radar, but that I kind of have forgotten of how big Bonnie Raitt was at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I love. Like it was
I
like,
mean-
oh yeah, that's right. She had like this moment in time, which was fantastic.
It was a
Deservedly so.
Yes, Nick, and it was this the Nick of Time one? Was
Yep.
Nick of Time 89?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Nick of Time is an amazing album. I've talked about it on one of my solo albums. I don't have a solo album personally. I've talked about it on one of my solo episodes. Nick of Time by Bonnie Raitt is one of the regular records, one of the regular Friday night. I put it on and the whole family is like, fuck yeah, this is so good.
Yeah.
I fucking adore Bonnie Raitt, and I loved somebody that had no business being as big as she was for the 3-year span that she was. You know, she's not traditionally like, she wasn't a sexy pop star or anything. She was just a
Right.
fucking badass guitar player that
Mm-hmm.
her slide was just so fucking clean and unreal that, oh, I love Bonnie Raitt so much.
I
fucking
have
love her.
more. I have lots of
Good.
hidden gems
Keep
here.
going.
So
I just had to. You mentioned Bonnie Raitt. I can't not.
of course, I had to lead with
Yeah.
Bonnie Raitt because like,
Yeah,
she's like
because you
probably
knew
the
I
most,
would.
most interesting to you.
Yes.
I will forever champion King's X. Their album
Oh.
Gretchen Goes to Nebraska is
God, 89.
yes, they are a musician's band. And it also feeds into a narrative I have about progressive rock and metal that I'll talk about later,
Okay.
meaning like right now, because Voivod's Nothing Face,
Voivod.
I have
I know-
struggled trying to get into Voivod forever because I know I'm supposed to like them. And I just like,
Yeah.
and I think it's just, I gave this album a pretty good go. And I'm like, think I'm starting to see what's happening here. I'm starting to get
Okay.
it. I'm not a
All
super fan by any stretch, but for you Voivod metal fans out there, like BNR Metal has it at one of the top albums of the year. I'm like, I really respect like this guy's take on things. it's starting to seep into my pores a little bit. So I get it. Soraya, we talked about, okay, this is the year of the Shocker soundtrack, which we talked about last Halloween.
Oh, my God.
And
It
Soraya,
is.
I get to talk about Sandy Soraya, who, my God, if any, be still my beating heart, because 1989 Sandy Soraya might be one of the sexiest human beings that's ever lived. So there's that. I got two more. Let's go back into the progressive. I think progressive metal was invented this year.
Okay.
Not rock, metal. It's Voivod's Nothing Face and Dream Theater's debut, When Dream and Day Unite. I think this is the invention of progressive metal.
Okay. I mean, if you were gonna tell me, as a metal not obsessor but a knower, if you were gonna tell me that one of the founding bands of progressive metal was Dream Theater, I would say that definitely checks out.
Yeah,
for sure.
Their debut, and then Voivod, of course. And then my last kind of hidden gem fun thing that I found was Steve Lukather, guitar player for Toto. This is his solo debut. Also played the most of the guitar on Beat It, which Eddie Van Halen did the solo for.
Yeah. Yep.
He and Eddie were huge. They were like not besties, but pretty close. They were really close friends.
That's awesome.
Lukather released his solo album called Lukather. Eddie produced, I don't know if he produced the whole album. I found conflicting info, but he at least produced some songs. One of which is called Twist the Knife, which was a early Sammy like demo track called, I think, I Want Action. So you can find Lukather, it was his song, and Eddie like showed him how to play it and produced it for him and stuff. Lukather's version is Twist the Knife. Eddie or Van Halen's was, I think, I Want Action, and there's a demo version out there. So that was a really fun find for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I knew of this. I just didn't know it was 89. So
that's
and
really
Eddie
cool.
Played bass on that track, maybe on some of the rest of the album as well.
Yeah, some of that stuff, it's crazy. I don't think about crazy that I just thinking of some of those bands being around for that long. Right. Thinking of like Dream Theater starting in the 80s is fucking crazy. That's crazy. What about, do you have any worst albums or worst?
I mean, besides Milli Vanilli. A lot of stuff is aged very poorly.
Yeah. Yes.
This I don't want to say this is a bad album, because it was good in the time, had big hits, but it's so dated today. Is the Fine Young Cannibals album? Like, she drives me crazy. It was huge. It was huge.
Yes,
but it sounds so very of that time that it just doesn't. It didn't have legs at all.
Yes, good thing. Where has it gone? I don't know. What about You Got It by Roy Orbison? Do you like that song at all?
That's fine. I mean, it's not of his best work, but I like it.
I kind of like it.
I do too. I like Roy Orbison.
I do too. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a real good worst album this year. I think I did listen to the Grateful Dead's, and it doesn't sound Grateful Dead-y. It sounds like they're trying to be 80s stuff. I did not enjoy that. But you're right in that there's just a lot of stuff that's bad. And it's a lot of the things that some of it works and some of it doesn't. Like, it's hard to find something that's purely bad. Like, you can't put the Queen album on there because there's good song. Like, I Want It All is a fucking amazing song. I love that song.
That's the problem with Queen albums. We've talked about this. All of their albums are like, there's like greatest songs ever and then other stuff.
I have one more question, and it has to do with this worst album. And I don't think you're going to like the question, Evil. But are you Once Bitten and Twice Shy?
Yeah. Damn it.
Are you?
I like that song. It's a fun song.
I am absolutely sure you do.
I do. Like, the whole like concert venue fire, I think, really tarnished that band's career.
Yeah, it didn't help.
It didn't help.
They were also very one of those bands. Like,
yeah,
you know.
I do like it though.
Yeah. It's fun. I
It's-
don't like Great White at all, but that's okay. That's the one that we're not going to agree on, I think.
Yeah, well, that's not a hill I would ever die on.
Good for you. I think for part 1, we're good. We got some. You guys all need to stick around. We have our 5 favorite songs ish, our 5 favorite albums ish, and then we collectively did a top 10 best
Yeah.
albums of 1989. We're going to piss people off. There was no way around it because there's just so much music from so many different genres. That's part 1. Yeah, top 5's collective top 10 favorite songs. Join us next week. We love you. Good night and good luck.